Hey, Paradise People. It's your girl Subrina. I am here on the 19th of May, 7 p.m., recording the second episode of the Money Talk series. If you haven't watched the first episode, defo check it out. It's the value of time versus the value of money. If you agree with anything I'm saying, if you disagree with anything I'm saying, if you get any ideas that spark into your mind, any insights, drop me a DM, drop a comment on that, and let's talk. I love to hear other people's opinions about this stuff. So definitely let me know what you think. In this episode, we're going to be talking about money as an illusion. So we're going to be talking about the visual aspect of money, what we see, how money looks, I guess, the deception of our desires around money, and the illusion that has been fed to us from a long time. Like there's been times when I've been walking around and hear kids saying to their parents that they want to be rich and stuff, and I'm like, you're actually 8. Like, where did you where did you get this idea from that that is what you want as a goal in life? Like, it's really interesting. And our lives revolve around money. A lot of our lives revolve around wanting money and needing money and chasing money and loving money and living money. So let's get into it. Why are we like this? So I guess the first thing I want to talk about is money as an illusion. So if we're talking about money as an illusion, the first thing I want to talk about is the visual aspect of money. I think money makes a person look better. When I say that, I mean obviously just physically, and this is all my opinion as well. Like, if you don't agree with me, some people overdo it with the Versace's and the Gucci's and actually look worse and look terrible. But money just is like an airbrush almost over a person's life. It's like what's that thing people were using before filters came out? Photoshop. It's like you can Photoshop your life with money basically, because you get to just sprinkle money over your problems and make your life look better. So you can just, buy yourself a nicer car when you feel sad, or you can buy yourself a bigger house or a motorbike or a trip away or a flight away to, cover your real problems that are going on inside. And what I'm trying to say is like money, that's the airbrush effect of money. Like whatever distractions that us humans we get into, despite how much money we have, despite how much money we have, we look for distractions from reality because reality means that we kind of have to face ourselves, and money allows us to get into distractions away from that. Like money allows us to go out drinking on the weekend, money allows us to take a flight and leave our life, and money allows us to um consume new clothes that make us feel better in that moment. So this veil that money has makes it look like people in a certain tax bracket have better lives, I guess. And we talk about it on a visual aspect. Like if you go to an area that is more of a lower income bracket, you notice, you got smaller houses, you got more ethnic minority people in that area, people that are trying to build their life, people that weren't born here. So then again, there's people that can't really speak English properly. You got people that are not in higher paying jobs, so that looks like that, that translates into the visual of what they can afford, which looks like, yeah, like I said, like smaller houses, like less economically developed areas is where these people reside. And then you have, when you have a lot of money, you're able to afford that bigger house, you're able to afford the bigger cars and even the bigger streets. You're able to afford more space. Like, it's crazy. Money can do a lot for a person. Money can do a lot for a person. And it's that um visual appearance that kind of draws us to want more money, I think. Um, it genuinely can make a person look more clean. Like they could be super dirty, like have no hygiene, but they have designer clothes or they have cleaner looking clothes or whatever, and it makes them look, you know, even more hygienic. Nah, I disagree with myself on that actually. No, money doesn't make someone look more hygienic at all. Money just makes a person's life look like they're living in more luxury. And I'm not sure, it's hard for me to talk about this one because I've never really desired that lifestyle. Maybe I need to get someone on here to talk about why that kind of lifestyle is something that they desire. Um, because for me, it's also surface level. Um, it's also surface level to want materialistic goods. When I talk about money as an illusion, I mean, what I'm trying to get to with this episode is like people creating the value of their life and people creating value out of themselves and people creating their self-worth off the materialistic goods that they own and the material things in their life is what gives them their value. I think that is the illusion. So people are chasing money and want money because it makes them think, no, genuinely believe that with that money, their value, like the value of them as a person will increase because their um their net worth increases. But I don't think it works like that. I didn't think it works like that. Like, mm, there's another illusion that, you know, especially for guys, there's this pressure that they have to be earning a certain amount and be on a certain salary, and you know there's a serious pressure for them to be a provider. I think it's definitely in the biology and the DNA for a guy to be that, but to equate it to like assets, like having a car and a nice watch and a nice trainers and all of that kind of stuff. I don't think the two correlate, but I think a lot of guys can be in the illusion that the more money that they have, the more impressive they are, and genuinely base their confidence on the amount of money that they have. And I think that's a serious issue with society that is placed on guys. Um, because I think they can get it a bit twisted and think, yeah, on the surface, you know, I've got it all, but my in terms of where their heart is, in terms of where their morals are, in terms of where their values are, they genuinely are like insecure because without all of that stuff, who are you? Do you know what I mean? Like what value do you carry without all of that stuff? When you talk about money as an illusion, it's like once we're gone from this earth, like none of that stuff is coming with us. So if I remember a person, am I going to remember them for all the stuff that they had accumulated in their life, or who they were from the heart and who they were within? I think the latter, you know, I think the latter, like when you remember a person and you remember their presence around you, and like if they were arrogant or they allowed their materialistic things to define them, you actually feel that from someone in their presence. But if they were not arrogant, you know, that's what you remember and that's what you think, oh yeah, like I'm gonna miss that person because they were really nice. Um, sorry. Um, it's hard for me to talk about this one because there's so many aspects to it. We're very visual people, like things don't exist until we see it. So we need proof of everything. And I think money allows us to do that, allows us to prove ourselves. But I really want to like drill in the fact that money does not define who you are or who, yeah, money does not define who you are. Like, just because you've accumulated this stuff, it will be a very disappointing day when you realize that none of it even mattered. Because I think every single human being will reach that point. Like, um, it says it says in the Bible, like, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Everything that you toil for in your earth, like on the earth while you're here, like all is vanity. If you think about the reasons that you're doing it, and like what are the reasons that you're doing it, and the reasons that we should be toiling or working is because, we want money as a tool to give us freedom. We can't have money as a tool to give us freedom if we're not free in our minds, and if we're not um free in our headspace already. Like this needs to come first before the accumulation of of physical items. You're going to accumulate those physical items and still not be free. So yeah, and then I also want to talk about this because it's not fair on the guys in the society that feel that pressure. I think, imagine the way things would be if that pressure didn't exist. The pressure exists to provide. The pressure doesn't exist to like have a nice car and have these items. Like, I think the world would be a very, very, very different place if we tell people, like, the biggest asset that you have is your heart. The biggest asset that you have is your time. The biggest asset that you have is the talent and skills that are within you, rather than externally, like, paying for that degree, or like accumulating, like, those other like, my degree doesn't define who I am. My car doesn't define who I am. The objects and my clothes don't define who I am. And a lot of people are in that illusion and identify with that stuff so much. My degree means that I'm smart. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like, a logical person, you can have a degree and have no common sense. So yeah, the reason I think money is an illusion as well is because I don't hate money. I think money is a tool. I think money is a game, and play it right, play it authentically. Get that money with a true heart, not to validate yourself with it, not to get other people's love from it. Then yeah, you're winning in this game. You're gonna win in this game. Like, Mike Tyson basically speaks about being the world champion, yeah, the world champion. And suddenly he's getting all this attention. And even at that point, he splashed his cash because he didn't want anyone to really see who he really was and think that he was a weirdo and da da da. He comes out now as who he truly is. And Mike Tyson is a bit weird. He's a crazy guy, but I love the version of him that is real. He talks about the version of him when he was in the top of, like, he was on the top ruling the whole his boxing career, and he was a world champion and all of that. He talks about how he was in such a he was such a fake version of himself. I'll put the link below, but he talks about he talks about how he felt that people didn't really love him for him. They loved him for who, these external things that he'd accumulated. And it's so interesting how maybe even our desire for money and the illusion of it making us look so great is a fear of us like being comfortable with who we truly are, um and allowing other people to see that. We'd rather show a surface level of successful version of us than who we really are. Could be that. But what I want to talk about as well is how money creates a division, how money creates borders and countries. Like, you got the emerging economies, then you got the upcoming economies, and then you got the third world economies, and then you got the West, the high economies. But the GDP of a country or the output of a country does not define the living standard, or like the happiness of the people in that place. And then you got people from third world countries wishing to come here, and you wishing to come to the UK. Then you got people from the UK wishing to go to the third world countries. Like, It's very insane. It's very insane, and it's all. I think it's all because of the illusion of money. um, Third world countries, we're not happy because of how much tax we have to pay, and third world countries have it easier because they just get to chill on the beach, and our currency, well, then in fact, our currency is what will allow us to survive in that country. Their currency in the third world economies are not able to, they're not going to be able to fund a lifestyle in the UK and are just surviving as well in their countries. But really and truly, I wish like the third world countries could see how much more valuable peace is than accumulation of goods. It creates the division of looking down on people that don't have money when we're all the same, looking down on people because they haven't got good jobs and stuff like that. Like, I feel like there's enough money to go around. Sounds communist or whatever, but it's greed. It's greed and power that has created all this illusion and all these barriers. It's not actually money. It's greed and power and envy and these dark forces that I feel like a lot of humanity is ignorant to. We all contribute to it. It's not just, the world leaders that contribute to being greedy and wanting power and being envious. Like, it's not by mistake that people say, your nosy neighbors. Like, everyone is envious of the other, and it's just this competitive mindset that we're in. And money plays a part in that because it is a game, and the more money and wealth that you have, the more that you can uh the more freedom you have, I guess, because you're not just worrying about your bills. But then the greed comes in and you want more and you want more, and like you're able to pay your bills, you're able to cover all your bills every month, you're able to go on a nice holidays. And it's like the human mind just constantly wants more because we look at the other rather than what's going on with ourselves. So I want to spread the message, or I want to just put out there that money is money is a tool. Like, the visual aspect of money that we see, of what it can get you in your life and bring you in your life, is pure surface level. um Things that are lasting and everlasting in your life that will never fade away no matter how much money you have are things like peace, things like love, things like kindness, things like open heartedness, um, things like teamwork, and seeing the next person, whether they have more money than you or whether they have less money than you, seeing them for who they are as a person and being like, is this is this person a good person? Am I a good person? First of all, to be able to say, is someone else a good person? But that's the only thing that really should matter before anything. I guess I was really kind of upset recording this episode because when I heard those little kids, not long ago, I guess last week or something, heard those little kids talking about how rich they want to be, and then it being amplified by the parents saying, "Oh, okay," because even parents want their kids to be rich because then they think, I'll be free when I'm older because they'll be able to look after me. Like, it's kind of a cycle that gets amplified, and kids get programmed from such a young age to want to accumulate surface level goods and want to accumulate materialistic goods, and then they receive like validation from their peers for having this nice stuff. It happens from so young. So how do we break out of that? And I think it's by, first of all, living below your means. Consumerism is just to make us consume and just want more and want more. But like, I guess having gratitude and being content with what you have, and then living your life as an extension, and finding work as an extension of who you are, as a passion, as a way of making money through doing something that you love, and then you don't need anything more than that. Um, yeah. I'm gonna end it there because I might come back to this actually. I might like record another one on this where it's more concise, and maybe I'll have a guest so we can talk about it together, because it's very hard to talk about this topic, guys. But if you think I could have touched on anything else, please let me know. DM me, um drop a message in the comments. And yeah, tune in for the next one. Love.